Right then, welcome back to the channel. Crystal Palace against Manchester United. This is a tough game for United, this one. A very tough game with a lot of pressure on us as well. People expect you to win this game, even though they are doing way better than us in the league. They've had their best start to a top-flight season since 91-92. They registered a 2-0 win against Wolves in the league last weekend. Thursday night, they did slip to a 2-1 defeat against Strasbourg in the Conference League. They were passed off the park by Strasbourg, actually. Very interesting. However, they are sitting pretty in fifth, and they look good in doing so. They were on a 5-game unbeaten run in all competitions before that midweek game against Strasbourg. They've got a very strong home record, which is going in their favour. This is a nightmare game for United this week, and it's made even worse by the fact that Cunha is going to be out, as confirmed, on Friday by the gaffer. That's a problem. I had Cunha in my team, and I had to rejig it to try and figure out exactly how this is going to play out. But I have rejigged it. And, well, spoiler alert, I've put Xerxes in. Now, after going unbeaten in 5, we did slump to that 1-0 home defeat against Everton. And that means Amorim's 1-year anniversary didn't go too well for him. Crystal Palace, as our next game, probably couldn't really have hit us with a worse game. In terms of the reputation of both clubs, this should be a win for Manchester United. But we don't really turn up, especially away from home. We've only got the one away victory to our name this season, and their record at Selhurst Park makes this just an absolute mare of a game for us to go and try and win. We haven't won there since 2020. We are going to need to play out of our skin to beat them and try and move into the top 6. Now, starting men for them, I'm going to say Mateta. Really up for him coming to Old Trafford in the summer. Obviously, we went with Sesko, but he's still one of the best strikers in the league. 6 goals in 12. Not a lot of weaknesses. Very physically imposing. We'll have a great matchup against the Lake. Looking forward to that. His hold-up play is fantastic, and you've got to account for him because he is a problem. Here we are. It is the end of 2025 coming into view. Time is moving fast, but it's not too late to make this your year. There is still time to make real change for yourself or even for someone that you care about. Maybe there's one habit that you've been meaning to quit, and I think you know the one. That's where Fume can come in. It isn't a vape, and it isn't another gimmick. It is a clean, natural tool built to help you take back control. No nicotine, no vapor, no batteries. It's just flavoured air that feels good, keeps your hands busy and your focus sharp. And there's loads of flavours. You've got cinnamon hearts, black licorice, spearmint. Fume makes quitting feel rewarding. A small win every single time you reach for it. There's over 700,000 people that have already made the switch and started their journey towards real progress. So if you want to finish 2025 stronger than how you started it, or give someone else the gift of a fresh start, now is your moment. Use the code Stephen Howson, that's STEPHENHOWSON, Stephen Howson at tryfume.com to get a free Fume topper with the journey pack. That's TRYFUM.com, or just scan the QR code that is on the screen. Big thanks again to Fume for sponsoring today's video and supporting real change, one healthy habit at a time. Don't wait for January. End the year on a win with Fume. In terms of the United 11 that I've gone with, Lamens, Yoro, Delict and Shaw is my back three. I really thought about putting Mazraoui in there, and he might put him in ahead of Yoro. He doesn't seem to start Yoro week in, week out for whatever reason. There's no Harry Maguire either, so that's a move that he likes to switch to occasionally. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mazraoui included in the back three, where I think he's quite effective, and not as a wing back where I think he's less effective. I'd still love to see him as a 6, as an option, to be honest with you, but I don't think we're going to get to see him as a 6, and certainly not going to get to see him as a 6 in this game. That being said, I do think he'll go with Yoro and Shaw as the wide ones, with Delict, who is going to have a tough old time, but probably a great matchup against Mateta in the middle. The middle four then, Ahmad and Dorgu as the wing-backs, with Casemiro and Bruno as the midfield two. I did toy with the idea of bringing in Mainu, but I don't think he's done enough to deserve a start, to be honest with you. None of the players that are on the bench really are pulling up trees. They've all been a little bit underwhelming, if anything. Mbeumo and Mount behind Xerxes. I think that's got to be the 11. There's not loads of options for how you could do that and deploy that differently, but I think that has to be the 11. Now, how does this 11 beat Crystal Palace? You got to try and get runs in behind the wide centre halves. And that's very difficult with the forward three that we've got. They don't tend to naturally gravitate to getting the ball and getting in behind, which is why I've gone with Amad and Dorgu as the wing backs, hoping that they are the ones who can get in behind a little bit, because they do play very high, both of them. And Mbumo's probably the one that is more suited to going in behind, and maybe that was a mistake that we learned from against Everton. Hopefully it's something we have learned from against Everton. Looking at the weaknesses of Crystal Palace, the wide centre halves, very much like United's, Richards on the left, Lacroix on the right, they'd like to step up aggressively into midfield and press. You remember we talked about this a lot last season with Johnny Evans in that first game against Amari Hutchinson, and you've seen it quite frequently from United. Not so much this season, but you saw it a lot last season. That's one of the features of that back three, is one of the centre-halves gets the licence to go and press. Palace do it too. And when they do it, they can leave a lot of space in behind. That's where you'd hope the likes of Mbumo are switched on and can try and take advantage of that. Xerxes going as the number 9 and dropping off could drag Mark Gay into places in midfield where he probably doesn't want to be. Pull one of the wider centre-halves narrower to cover that space, and then maybe hope somebody like Mbumo, or maybe even Mount, can sprint in behind. If we have gone with Dorgu and Amad as the wing-backs, try and hit the ball in the half spaces as they push on forward. Hopefully they've not been tracked. And have Xerxes' deep movements as the trigger that switches our little plays forward into that sort of space. Amad width on the right could draw Richards out, giving Mbumo a little bit of room to run in that channel. Dorgu hitting left-footed crosses from deep, try and find Mount, or try and flash one across the box for people to get on the end of. We didn't see enough of that against Everton. I think Mbumo, especially, will get 2 or 3 at least 1v1 penalty box entries. Palace have conceded multiple of those, and they've actually conceded quite a lot of penalties from those situations where someone has managed to penetrate and then they've clarted them and given away a penalty. Secondly, you've got to dominate midfield by outnumbering their holders and trying to shut down Wharton. Only 2 holders, no real number 8. You can overload them centrally. Wharton is the brain, and if you stop him playing, Palace don't play. Xerxes dropping deep in between the lines could really open up a 4v2 in midfield alongside Bruno, Casemiro and Mount. As we know, Mount likes to drift from the left into that midfield space. Casemiro anchoring deep, let him cover the ground and break up play while Bruno roams around to dictate tempo. Mount loves to do the dirty stuff off the ball. He adds a little bit of dynamism by rotating centrally, pulling Palace's shape apart. That hopefully drags their holders all over the place and can leave Wharton a little bit exposed and a little bit isolated. Get around him and make it happen. And then press the build-up and neutralise their wing-back threats. Try and pin them back. United have got the opportunity to go man for man here. Munoz and Mitchell are basically their entire attack. That's where they're going to bomb forward. That's where they're going to try and overload. Just match them. United have got the ability to match them in a way that the system really works in this sense, because we can do that. Whereas in a lot of other shapes and systems, we're going to be overloaded or underloaded in certain areas. If Xerxes starts the press, which admittedly he's not fantastic at, by pushing up onto Mike Gay a little bit, force that first pass wide early, the physicality from him could really disrupt up that play without really needing to stay pinned. Amad and Dorgu, we know that they press. We know that they like to win duels. Them against Munoz and Mitchell could be really interesting. Try and pin them back a little bit. Ahmad's pace could definitely minimise the overlaps that you'll see from Munoz, which is something that Palace rely on. Dorgu's ball carrying and energy could really handle Mitchell. And Palace's centre-halves just don't launch long switches. They will be forced sideways, and if you can force them sideways, you can press them. If Mbumo stays nice and high on the right-hand side. He could be ready to exploit the space when Xerxes drops a little bit deeper and drags them into weird positions. Mount and Mbumo's press here could be absolutely key for us. And then force Palace into possession. They want to play without the ball. They want to exploit being in a low block. And if you can force them into having the ball and trying to pass it, they will make mistakes. And we've seen Palace hate dominate the ball. They don't like it. They run out of ideas. Look at, if you didn't watch it, go and watch what happened in the Strasbourg game. United can invite pressure, drop into a 5-4-1 shape, 2-3. Let Xerxes drop into midfield sometimes and even go 5-for-5. Palace will have to go wide instead of lumping it forward. And the wing-backs aren't that good on the ball. They're good without it, but they're not good with it. United could do that. And United maybe should do that. And then use the likes of Ahmad, Dorgu, and Mbumo to break out with. I think that's the way you beat them. I really do. Casemiro versus Wharton were very interesting for a lot of reasons. And I think De Ligt against Mateta is going to be very interesting for a lot of reasons. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.